The defense finished with their final DNA witness from the ATF. After that, the judge allowed the family to view, without it being broadcast, the zoomed-in surveillance video from Utah Valley University. The quality was surprisingly high.
After Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing came to an end, an unexpected development quickly took over the online conversation, leading to a whole new round of questions that few people anticipated. For nearly 5 days, the courtroom remained the center of attention as people closely followed every witness, legal argument, and piece of evidence presented. Viewers watched carefully to see whether prosecutors had introduced enough information for the case to move forward to a full trial. It became one of the most closely watched moments in this ongoing story, with interest growing as each day passed. But once the hearing was over, the spotlight shifted almost immediately. Instead of focusing only on Tyler, online discussions turned toward Erika Kirk and where she traveled after leaving the courthouse. According to reports and public flight tracking shared online, rather than heading straight home, Erika reportedly flew to Manassas, Virginia. That unexpected travel route quickly became a major topic of discussion, leaving many people wondering why that destination had been chosen. Before long, social media was filled with people trying to piece together the timeline and understand the reason behind the reported trip. At first glance, many people dismissed the discussion entirely.
I thought under the court's previous order that the media was not going to film exhibits. And they are filming the ones that are on that screen. So I guess I just need to clarify that, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
After all, travelers choose different airports every day for countless reasons. Ticket prices, scheduling, weather conditions, aircraft availability, or simple convenience can all influence where someone lands. On its own, flying into a different airport hardly seems unusual. But once people started comparing maps and locations, the online conversation became much more active. Manassas Airport wasn't the airport many expected for someone traveling toward Washington, D.C., and that detail alone fueled widespread curiosity. Soon, one question dominated countless posts across social media. Why Manassas instead of one of the larger airports serving the capital? Part of the reason this attracted attention is because Marine Corps Base Quantico is located a relatively short drive from Manassas. Quantico is home to the FBI's forensic laboratory, where publicly reported forensic work connected to Charlie Kirk's case, including DNA testing and ballistic analysis, was conducted. Since those details are already part of the public record, some online observers viewed the airport choice as more noteworthy than it first appeared. Others argued it was simply an ordinary travel decision with no deeper meaning. As often happens with high-profile stories, the same facts quickly produced very different interpretations. Of course, there are countless practical reasons why someone may choose one airport over another. Flight schedules, charter availability, traffic, logistics, weather, and personal preferences can all play a role. Even so, the online speculation continued to grow. Eventually, the discussion reached Andrew Colvin, a longtime spokesperson for Turning Point USA and a public supporter of Erika throughout the case.
So apparently, Erika Kirk and friends wanted to play this zoomed-in video of Tyler Robinson's movements and the actual pew-pewing from the roof. And so they played it, and then I'm about to show you a clip here, and this was published by TPUSA, and they're interviewing this guy.
Rather than ignoring the rumors, he publicly addressed one of the viral posts directly. Andrew explained that Erika's family had been with her throughout the week and said her travel plans were connected to attending a TUSA chapter leadership seminar with students. He also noted that the preliminary hearing had been rescheduled multiple times from April to May and then to July, which ultimately caused it to overlap with the leadership event that had reportedly been planned well in advance. He encouraged people to review the available information before sharing inaccurate claims, pointing out that many of the relevant clips and details were already publicly available. For those who have followed the story from the beginning, his response echoed statements he had made previously while addressing similar rumors. Instead of settling the debate, however, the explanation created another round of discussion online. Some people accepted it as a complete answer and felt there was nothing more to question. Others remained unconvinced and continued comparing flight locations, travel routes, and event schedules. One response that spread widely across social media asked why, if the destination was a TPUSA event in Washington, D.C., the reported arrival wasn't at one of the larger airports serving the area, all of which are capable of handling charter and private aircraft. That question quickly divided online observers into two very different groups. One side believed Andrew's explanation answered everything and saw no reason to read further into the travel plans. The other side felt there were still unanswered questions and continued examining publicly available information. The ongoing disagreement became another example of how quickly public opinion can split whenever new details emerge in a closely followed case. Meanwhile, inside the courtroom, Erika remained one of the most outspoken voices during the preliminary hearing. Throughout the proceedings, she repeatedly emphasized the importance of transparency and encouraged that as much information as possible be made available to the public. That message became another major talking point, adding yet another layer to a case that continues to generate widespread discussion as new developments unfold. People wanted the opportunity to examine the evidence for themselves instead of relying only on descriptions from others. Many felt that was a reasonable position. If the evidence is strong, they argued, allowing the public to understand it could help answer many of the questions surrounding the case. During most of the 5-day preliminary hearing, that level of access was available. Large portions of the proceedings were streamed live, allowing viewers across the country to follow the testimony, legal arguments, and evidence as it was presented in court. However, one important piece of evidence remained unavailable to the public: the enhanced surveillance footage. According to statements made during the hearing, prosecutors presented an enhanced compilation of security video that they said traced Tyler Robinson's reported movements around Utah Valley University on the day Charlie Kirk was live streaming. The footage reportedly showed someone believed by investigators to be Tyler moving through different areas of campus before eventually appearing on the rooftop of the building prosecutors identified as a key location in their timeline. Erika publicly requested that this footage be shown to everyone, arguing that it was an important part of the case. Despite that request, the video remained restricted to those inside the courtroom, immediately creating another major topic of discussion online. That decision reflected a common challenge in high-profile legal proceedings. Courts must balance the public's interest in transparency with the responsibility of protecting the fairness of future trials. Erika's legal team argued that keeping the footage out of public view would likely encourage even more speculation, with people filling in the missing gaps themselves. From their perspective, greater transparency could reduce confusion rather than increase it. The judge, however, reached a different conclusion, ruling that the enhanced videos would only be shown to those physically present in court. The concern was that releasing the footage too early could influence public opinion before a jury is selected. Similar restrictions were also applied to other sensitive evidence presented during the hearing. While these decisions are routine in many criminal cases, they often leave the public wanting answers that the court is not yet prepared to release. No matter where someone stands on the case, the right to a fair trial remains one of the legal system's most important principles. At the same time, social media often moves much faster than the courts. Online discussions rarely separate verified facts from personal opinions, creating an environment where different interpretations spread quickly. Some people accepted the prosecution's description of the surveillance footage as supporting their timeline. Others questioned what had been described, with some wondering whether the enhanced video accurately reflected the original recordings. Since the footage itself was not publicly released, those debates continued to grow, with many people drawing completely different conclusions from the same limited information. One comment in particular spread rapidly across social media. The person claimed Erika would do anything because, in their opinion, she had something to hide. They pointed to her behavior and public appearances as reasons for their personal belief. However, it's important to separate opinion from established fact. Comments like these reflect individual viewpoints rather than evidence presented in court. Even so, the popularity of those posts demonstrated something much larger: the growing lack of trust many people now have whenever major stories unfold in the public eye. That loss of confidence has become almost as significant as the legal case itself. The debate didn't remain limited to online users. It eventually reached prominent voices within conservative media as well. Andrew Colvin attempted to address the growing rumors by explaining Erika's reported travel plans and attendance at the TUSA leadership event. His goal appeared to be providing additional context and reducing speculation. Instead, his comments created an entirely new discussion. Some viewers appreciated that he responded directly instead of remaining silent. Others believed his explanation left additional questions unanswered, keeping the conversation alive rather than bringing it to a close. Among those responding publicly was Candace Owens, who openly challenged Andrew's remarks. Her criticism centered on his decision to compare Erika's situation with well-known biblical figures. Candace argued that those comparisons were inappropriate and distracted from the actual issues people were discussing. In her view, introducing those kinds of examples weakened the overall argument rather than strengthening it. Whether people agreed with her or not, her response quickly became another major talking point and extended the discussion far beyond the courtroom itself. That pattern has repeated throughout this entire story. Nearly every public response seems to create another wave of debate instead of settling existing questions. Every explanation generates fresh interpretations, new theories, and another round of online analysis. Rather than narrowing the discussion, each new statement often expands it, leaving observers with even more questions than before. Which brings everything back to the same issue that first captured everyone's attention. Why was Manassas the reported destination? There could be a completely ordinary explanation involving scheduling, airport logistics, aircraft availability, or travel planning. At the same time, many people continue examining publicly available information because they feel the timeline still leaves room for questions. Until additional verified details become available, much of the discussion remains exactly that discussion. The public continues comparing reports, reviewing timelines, and waiting to see whether future court proceedings provide more clarity. As more hearings and filings take place, it's likely that additional information will eventually become part of the public record. Whether those future developments answer today's questions or create entirely new ones remains to be seen. For now, the conversation continues because people are trying to separate confirmed facts from online speculation while following a case that has attracted enormous public attention. Now, we'd like to hear what you think. Do you believe the reported trip to Manassas has been given more attention than it deserves, or do you think there are still reasonable questions that haven't been fully answered? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because respectful discussion is always welcome. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video, subscribe for future updates, and share it with anyone following this story. Your support helps the channel continue covering major developments as they happen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.